Hello and welcome to Notebook. Every day we touch different forms of business. Suppose your family decides to go for a vacation to Goa. You can choose to take a plane or you can choose to take a train. Within airlines, you may choose an airline which is Indian, example Indigo, or Air Asia, which has a global presence. You also may choose to fly Air India. Students, in this example, in our mixed economy, there are various types of companies which operate. It is important for us to understand the sector of the companies and the roles. Business organizations are broadly divided in two sectors, private sector and public sector. In this video, we shall understand, state the meaning of public sector enterprises, identify the chief characteristics of public sector organizations, understand departmental undertakings, government companies, and statutory corporation. If you read about the history of our country, after independence, there were a few business houses which were owned by private companies. Investment had to be made in different sectors for the development of our economy. The government, in its industry policy resolution, defined the areas of investment for public as well as private companies. This was required to ensure development of certain areas and industrialization. Generally, the private sector is reluctant in setting up industries where heavy investments are required, and the gestation period is too long. This is simply because of the risk involved in getting the investment back. However, these industries are required to cater to the internal and external needs of the country. Industries were preferred to be set up in regions that had certain natural advantages, like the availability of raw materials, skilled labor, nearness to market. This caused the regional imbalances. Hence, the government went in for direct participation in business and set up industries in areas like the coal, oil and gas industry, heavy machinery, steel, finance and banking, insurance, etc., in which 51% or more of the paid-up capital is held by the government. Public sector enterprises can be broadly classified into three categories: departmental undertaking, statutory corporations, government companies. All three categories of companies fall into the ambit of Companies Act 2013. Departmental undertakings are the oldest among public enterprises. It is a form of organization that is primarily set up for the essential services. These organizations function under the control of a ministry of the government. They are also financed and controlled in the same way as any other government department. This form is considered suitable for activities where the government desires to have control over them in view of the public interest. The departmental undertakings come under the control of a minister who is responsible to the parliament. Some of the best examples for departmental undertakings include Railways, Postal Department, All India Radio, Doordarshan, etc. Let us quickly have a look at the characteristics, merits and demerits of departmental undertakings. The business is managed by civil servants. Accounting and audit applicable. Government allocates funds for the undertakings in its annual budget. It is not a separate entity, or it does not have an independent presence from the government. It rolls up to the concerned ministry in the government. The departmental undertaking can maintain the secrecy of important policy matters. The merits of departmental undertakings are the instrument of social change and reforms, lesser risk of misuse of public money, guided by rules and regulations of the ministry, areas for national security. Some of the demerits or limitations are: a departmental undertaking is subject to political influence. Employees may show a casual approach to work. Since they work with the ministry, there is an inherent process they have to follow, which results in delay in decision making, bureaucracy, red tapeism. Students, you have heard about Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, Life Insurance Corporation, Employees State Insurance Corporation, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, etc. Do you know they fall under the statutory corporations? Statutory corporation is an autonomous form of the public sector. It is formed by passing special acts, either at the legislature assembly or at the parliament. The statutory corporation is also known as a public corporation. Its capital is wholly provided by the government. How would you distinguish a statutory corporation? What are its characteristics? Statutory corporations are managed by the board of directors, appointed by the government. The statutory corporation is accountable to the public and parliament. Hence, its accounts are audited by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, CAG. They can freely recruit people and can give promotions and transfers to any employee according to the company requirement. The statutory corporation has its own operating processes. There is no political interference in day-to-day working of the corporation. It works on profit objective, and as such, its activities are commercial in nature. It has financial autonomy, which means it can borrow funds, retain its income, and be profitable. While statutory corporations are formed by acts, some of the advantages which it has becomes theoretical. Statutory corporations have powers which have been given to them by the Act. However, there are lots of rules and regulations which hinder the autonomy because of the approvals required by the corporation. It is an independent body and takes its independent decisions, but the government is normally involved when big decisions are being taken. It has operating flexibility, which is sometimes misused for undesirable practices. Statutory corporation is supposed to have power and flexibility. However, in case of dispute, the resolution has to come from the government, which delays the process. After learning the two categories, let us now understand about the third category, which is the government companies. Government company is registered under the Companies Act 2013 and is fully governed by the provisions of the Act. Most business units owned and managed by the government fall into this category. It is to say that the company in which 51% or more of the paid-up capital is held by the government. Some of the best examples for government companies are HMT, Hindustan Steel Limited, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Bharat Earth Movers Limited. What are the features, merits and demerits of government companies? Let's learn about them. The provisions of Companies Act 2013 govern the government companies. The whole of the capital of 51% or more is owned by the government, state or central. Its employees are not civil servants, except if they are on deputation. The government company employs its own staff, and they are not employees of the government. In case it is fully owned by the government provides the funding. It derives revenue from sales of its goods and services. In case it is partly funded by the government, it is financed by the government as well as its shareholders. All or many directors are appointed by the government depending on the shareholding pattern. It is a body corporate and can enter contracts in its own name. It can sue and be sued in its own name. As you know, government companies are required to take care of the interest of society. They are also not free from limitations. Some of the most important limitations are briefly discussed here. Although they are incorporated independently, lack of autonomy is not real, as government is still the majority holder. Accountability is limited, and it sometimes fails to impart its social responsibilities. There is no incentive for individual interest and initiative. Since employees enjoy job security, there is no serious attempt to increase the efficiency of operations. This brings to an end of our lesson on public sector companies. We'll continue to discuss on the changing roles of public enterprises and global enterprises. See you soon.